We back. Listen. I want to start right off by apologizing. Nick Freestyle, we missed you. We have to look at the schedule next year. We're going to make sure we have an alternative date because I got to be honest, it's probably been a solid month and a half in a row that the Knicks have had games on Wednesday night. If you hear something in the background, pay that no mind. That's his wifey back there killing that treadmill. Respect and salute to her, as we share the basement as a gym. But I'm going to make sure I'm on mute and make sure that the show keep going. So I hope when the playback it ain't bad, but we doing this tonight because I'm so ready. Because we don't get to come to you for at least a month and a half. And we are excited, man, on the Blorange Tears Network. We are excited about the brand that we bring to you called Nick Freestyle. The homie Free Keith is in the back. He needed a couple extra minutes in the green room. You know how he do. You know how we coming. Actually, he's probably dressed down tonight, but I got to soup it up and make it sound good. But listen here. Season's over. Tonight, we're going to give you a player-by-player recap. Forget what it is that we said in the beginning of the season. Nobody foresaw that the season would go the way it went. Not even me. Not even with my 42-game wins. I thought it would be different than what it was. But let me say this. Some good things happened, too. So Keith wasn't too crazy. He wasn't too far off. The fact of the matter remains that some good things happened this season. And as we go down to player by player, I think you're going to be surprised that we're going to have some good things to say about some people that we didn't project in the beginning of the season on where they ended up at the end of the season. So let's go ahead, man. Free Keith, what it do? They caught you lighting your bogey. Let's go.
It's this is fun. We back. I'm sorry, yo. Like Gi said, I'm sorry, yo. We sorry, bro. Yo. The people been wanting it. I'm getting DMs. Yo, the timing, the schedule. I'm sorry, we just busy outside of this, and this it was hard to schedule any other time. And the Knicks end of the year schedule just wasn't on our side. Sorry, but we back. And we're putting together a plan to never leave y'all again. We're putting together that plan right now. But yeah, like Gi said, look, I'll be the first to tell y'all, cool. I predicted 54 wins. Nowhere near that. I eat that, but that's all right, because these are fan is short for fanatic. And my beginning of the season predictions is always my most optimistic fan. I'm Mr. Optimism. I used to be a negative Nelly fan. I see y'all out there, yo. Like, yo, I ain't like that life, yo. I ain't like that life. That life was giving me agita. I don't like that life. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Y'all really should get off that. It's unhealthy. But we're about to talk about some things that y'all might not come across in your regular negative Knicks musings. We're going to talk about some of the positive things that I still say came out of this team, that the positive things that we have looking forward and going through into the offseason and into next season. But with that, let's get it popping. We here.
Well, Keith, tonight we did our rundowns on the season. That's easy. I think kicking a dead horse doesn't do anything for our show. It doesn't do anything for our brand. They have a morning show where you get to state your facts on who you hate. Here we're going to bring you the raw, the real, right? The reality. So as we start, tonight it's going to be Julius. I'm going to kick it off because I'm going to be honest. I don't want to beat on it too long, but Julius disappointed me this year because I hate to be, you and I, what we get to share in common is that this is an educated platform. You and I just have high level degrees. We do big stuff. We do boss stuff, right? And one thing is being bosses, you hate to come across somebody with all the talent, all the tools to be the best at what they do, but they allow their immaturity and their mental and simple man stuff from stopping them from being great. Julius Randle can be a great player in the NBA, but his emotional intelligence has got it to where we don't even want him in the Knick uniform, not for that dollar amount. I'm not gonna beat the man too hard, Keith. I'm gonna let you talk. I'm gonna toss it to you on this one because I think you can balance it out. You on mute, but I
Oh,
think you can I think you can balance it out. But the fact of the matter remains, I'm not gonna be desperate to get rid of Julius Randle if I'm the GM because we got to play GM on each player. I wouldn't be desperate to get rid of Julius Randle if I was the GM, but I'd sure put his tail on notice and put some feelers out there.
like there should not be anything. There should not be anything off the table in terms of trades. Like meaning that like the door shouldn't be closed to trades that are of value, at least in my opinion. And I'm a Julius Randle supporter. Like I'm I take a different. I agree with you on the emotional immaturity, but I take a different understanding of where it comes from than people, or I should say what it's in reference to than how people interpreted it during the season. I didn't see I didn't see this internal beef with him and cats on the team and jealousy. I didn't see that. What I saw was emotional immaturity in a person who was disappointed in the fact that they could not give as much as they wanted to give. I feel like what we were watching was Randall becoming increasingly frustrated with himself. And I don't think that we really like catch really I could I could almost buy that, oh, like there was locker room beef and this, that, and the other. If I don't watch the games and witness how these guys interact myself. You know what locker room beef looks like even when it comes to the court. Like you can't hide it. Even if they're trying to play nice for you can't hide the cold shoulders and this, that, and the other. And I saw none of that. And so that leads me to believe that what we were witnessing from Julius Randle wasn't an expression of outward frustration with like, oh, somebody being better than him. Is him not being able to perform, or him not performing at the level that everyone, including himself, expected him to. And I think like his emotional immaturity, and I hope that that's something, like I hope he's in therapy, and I hope that's like he's handling that over the summer or whatever. But like if that doesn't get handled, that's a problem, because ain't nobody perfect. And if you're gonna go through your slumps, that kind of attitude is not gonna help you get out of it. From the beginning of the season, even though I'm a Randall supporter, anybody on the team, we're not a championship team. I'm in support of any trade that's gonna get the team better. I'm not in love with nobody until we get a chip. Nobody to me, as I love Mitch. Mitch is one of my favorites. I love RJ. Actually, like I liked RJ at the beginning of the season. I love RJ now. You know what I'm saying? Like I've
Can
been
you
telling
can you
people.
stick within the protocol of the show? We're gonna talk about each one of
Oh,
these
I'm
players
sorry. I'm getting
individually. We
excited.
talk about Julius.
It's
Thank
been
you.
weeks. It's
Thank you,
been weeks.
sir.
This is all pent up. My fault. My fault. My fault. We talking about Julius. I'm not mad. I still think that he is one of the better players in the league. And I'm not the kind of person who just feels like, oh, like let's just get rid of a good player for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just get anything just to get rid of a good player. Like, that's not how that's not how this thing works. And I definitely would be more in the camp of like, yo, like let's see, let's try to get it to work before we for real start shipping good players off of the island. Because I don't care what nobody say, Randall's a good player.
RJ, you go first.
RJ to me is I give RJ the award. I give RJ the award this season for cat who turned my view around of them the most. I never disliked RJ. I just wasn't sold. I wasn't in the full camp of like, oh, RJ is gonna be like, oh, like a one or two type player. I was like, he didn't really show me that. He didn't really show me that then. But I'm gonna say, and it was one game. It was a game. The one game in particular, and I feel like from that game, his switch totally turned in a whole different direction. You know which game I'm talking about. You know which game because this is the one I raved about when his last second shot.
And I thought it was overhyped. I thought you was overhyping.
After I told you, I was like, yo, like he just jumped the shark in his career right there. That was it. And it wasn't the shot, it was that whole game because he was down. He was missing shots the whole game. And him to really bring up the nerve and for them to Julius gave him that ball. Randall gave him that ball to make that shot. And I felt like all of those things combined, like they believe in RJ. RJ believe in RJ. Like now, like we just crossed the line with RJ, and the rest of the season changed totally for him from that point on. And that I feel like RJ is going to be a factor in this team. He's one of our core going forward. He has to clean up his efficiency. I'm not a fan of 7 for 27 games. 7 for 27 games, and we losing by one shot, by 2 points. And that's happened a couple times. He got to fix his efficiency if he's going to be this superstar that cats want him to be. If he's going to be this all-star, he got to fix his efficiency. And them free throws, come on. You can't be a guard. You can't be a guard in this league shooting free throws at like 60%. That's not going to cut it. You can't be a 1A or a 1 or 1A or 2. Second option if at that you're just a decent player. So I need him. I'm hoping his efficiency really kind of clears up. But the types of shots that he's missing are shots that he's been missing since Duke. My guy misses shots. He misses layups, and I think that's very, very, very concerning. That's very, very, very concerning. I'm only pointing out these as the minimal negatives or whatever from his game, but I think that they're important because these are the things that's going to change him from good to great. But he needs to clean those things up. But I believe in the guard. Like I like what I've seen from him this season. It's only his third. Go ahead, because we're gonna get into the front office too, right? Okay, cool. Go ahead. Because I think that ties in to me. That ties in with
and I'm not going to be long, Keith. That's why we bounce from going first to first, and I'm gonna go on the next player first. Everything you said, I absolutely agree with. I was a believing in RJ from the aspect that he has pedigree, and he has been around the game and has people in his ear who understands what it means to be a high-level athlete and to compete at a high level. I knew he had those things, and that is cannot be looked down and frowned upon because there's many players. Look at Harold Miner. He had more ability than many people to ever walk into this league, but he had no pedigree. He had nobody to talk to him or guide him, and he never got to see his potential. So RJ will see his potential. My question was, what was his ceiling? Was it high enough to be a max player? And I absolutely know that his ceiling is high enough. Keith, he started to learn new moves and use new moves during the season. His hesitation, he started to change gears. And I'm going to tell you something. There's some smart people on the internet that was saying that stuff. So I started paying attention to it. And let me tell you something. One RJ Barrett has Knicks fans excited about what the future. RJ Barrett's play from start to finish is one that made this season bearable. I'm going to move on to Mitchell Robinson. You know, unfortunately, we cannot have hundreds of millions of dollars tied up in the position of power forward and center. There's no team in recent NBA has won a championship not having guards, and wingmen. We cannot put all that money into that position knowing that we have future players we got to pay. I'm just looking down the list at who some of those players we have to pay. Then don't forget we got Fournier already on the books, which limits our ability to do a lot. I said all that to say I believe Mitchell Robinson is going to have to be sacrificed for the future of the New York Knicks roster. It's unfortunate, but because we've already paid Julius, because RJ is coming up, and that's why I intentionally put them first, so we could talk about that. Fournier is next, so we wouldn't be too out of pocket if he comes up. I don't know that you can have a base of Julius, RJ, Mitch, and Fournier, and really have a bright future. Unfortunately, I don't know. Maybe we can move Mitch and Julius in the signing trade. I don't know. But Keith, I'm gonna shut up now as it relates to Mitchell Robinson. He I can't say he improved, but let me tell you something. I always knew his ceiling was the heavens and earth. I mean the heavens above. I always knew that from the first time he stepped on the basketball court. So I would never doubt that one day that he still could be the NBA Defensive Player of the Year, the way he blocks shots and rebound the balls. And oh, by the way, he'd be the Defensive Player of the Year, averaging 18, 19 points. I still have no doubt that that's his upside. It's just unfortunate as I look at the roster and what we need to do in the future that I don't see how we can afford him now. But that's management's fault, Keith. And we can talk about that later. It's probably the number one mistake they have made. They should have locked him up to a long term deal before he had the ability to hit the market and start hearing buzzes from other teams. Keith, you're mute. You got to start all over.
Well, what I heard was that his people turned down the extension. That's what I heard.
They should have offered it when he was hurt, while he was hurt. They
No,
should
I
have been
feel you.
offering him that.
I feel you, but I also feel like don't discount like players knowing what they worth. Like because we don't hear the front office talking, which I still love, which I still love that. I love that they still do their stuff.
Wait to get there to the front office.
No. But I'm saying like in reference to Mitch, we assume that they didn't offer him the extension. That's just off. That's
You know
just
what?
that's just
Go
outrageous.
right into the front office after this because I think how they
No,
handle Mitch, I think that forces us to talk about the front office right now. Go ahead.
okay,
We'll do.
but
You'll
like,
roll right into the front office.
but I just wanted to put that part in on the Mitch conversation because like I don't want to go forward like just thinking that one avenue when we don't know that that was the case because I also heard that his people turned down the extension. So like if that's the case, like yo, like these players know they value. His first agents totally screwed him. He should have went in the first round. They told him they kept him out of workouts and all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So like I think Mitch is trying to get his bread up. And I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. I still think that he'll stay. I don't we right now we have the third lowest salary in the NBA. Right now. Randall ain't getting paid like a number one. He's not. Anybody saying that is like he has a very tradable contract. He has a very team friendly contract for his level of play. He does. It's not like I don't think that the money. Um, Joakim Noah's money is falling off the books this year. Off the books. New CBA coming in. They forecasting a higher. What you call it? Like I don't think that we should quibble too much about the bread. I think that they can make the bread work. Mitch is going to be he's going to be a valuable part of our defensive identity. I think Mitch is probably close to being one of the more untouchable players on the team. Honestly, if they keep in Tibbs, I'm just saying, like, I would not be so quick to think that, like, oh, like Mitch is going in a signing trade. Not that he wouldn't. I'm not saying he wouldn't, but I don't think we're the identity that we're trying to build and trying to be, and that defensive, what you call it, that I just don't see him being the one that's gone from the ship first.
You got it.
And
I
do think he improved this year. Mitch was not scoring. Mitch wasn't scoring like this ever.
I just don't think I just don't want you to think that I'm not saying that Mitch is not worth it.
Oh.
That obviously we can't afford it. None of that. What I'm saying is it wouldn't be wise. And when we move down the list and then potentially later talk about draft picks, I'll tell you why that move wouldn't be wise. Your turn to talk about Fournier, but obviously you can rebuttal it. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I apologize.
Just a little bit on that. Just as a little bit of seasoning on that last point, though. For the right team and squad, the reason why I don't care about, the reason why I'm not too geeked over the money and trying to make the money work is Dolan would pay the salary for a winning squad. That I'm sure of. I'm sure Dolan would pay the luxury tax for a winning squad. So, like, I'm not too hung up on the bread. Like, I'm not too hung up on the bread. But go ahead. Like, Fournier, right? Yeah. Man. The conversation to me about Fournier, it was a different conversation up until All-Star break. Different conversation after All-Star break. Anybody who tells me that they can easily give up Fournier right now, we really, like, Fournier has made himself a very big part of our offensive weaponry. We don't have so many guns, like so many short shot guns from three, to be able to be able to, like, for real, just jettison one with no, like, if we get somebody back for Fournier, that person definitely has to be able to. I'd like more defense, but they definitely would have to step into that offensive, what you call it, that specific type of offensive attack. Because, like, I don't see, there's not really a lot of guys on the team who are as automatic from three as Fournier. And in this league, in this era of the league, that's an increasingly more important guy to have. And I look at this, our losing season, and he already got our 3-point scoring title. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's a losing season. And he did that, and for real, most of that work was in the half of the season after All-Star. I just think that, like, we have things. He's clicking right now. I see him as a valuable trade piece. I probably see him as more of a more high value trade piece than most other fans see him, or some other fans see him. I think that he's a high value in the trade market, and I don't think that his contract is a huge detriment in that, because he looked like it's worth it.
Keith, I just want to apologize to you because you said Evan Fournier will play to his contract and be a trade piece. And at the All-Star break, I told you lost your mind. And what you said is absolutely factual, tactual, that you absolutely played out of his mind after the All-Star break. His percentages were through the roof. And here's what's the most important thing about Evan Fournier, to which I have to disagree with you on one thing. They better not offer him in no trade. They better not think I'm moving him. I thought he would hurt RJ's game. Ultimately, he did not. I thought he would play better with Julius. He didn't, but Julius was not afraid to pass him the ball. He gained Julius's trust. He gained the respect of his teammates, and no one felt like he should have been playing over him. And for that, and for that alone, I'm good with Evan Fournier. Now, I do see one day him potentially uh, going to the bench, and but we'll talk about that when I get to this player. But absolutely, I am appreciative of Evan Fournier. Um, I'm gonna roll right into Alec Burks because I don't think you could talk about Fournier without talking about Burks. And Burks is a keeper. He just absolutely is. Anybody willing to play out of position for you and you giving him $10 million a year? Anybody willing to be as professional as he is? He's never up, he's never down. But listen. For $10 million a year, you're not getting a player who's going to step on the floor and raise everybody else's his play. But when they raise they play, he won't pull them down. You won't find a better supplemental role player to some stars. And that's all you can absolutely ask of. And if those stars are asking him, if those stars are having a night off and he ends up with a mismatch, he will go take the ball and have to score every time. He would have no problem. So Alec Burks is a keeper to this team. I think he absolutely does what we need to get done. And I just don't. I just would not want to be on this team moving forward without knowing that Alec Burks is on the bench at that contract.
IQ, I can't. I'm IQ. I keep calling you IQ. Gi, I came into this night thinking that I would disagree with you a lot, but dude, so far I have found little in the way. I have found little in the way of anything that I can really find like adverse about what you're saying. I know you've heard me say this, and I will say it again. I know y'all heard me say this, dude. Alec Burke is an elite role player. Elite. And there is no team of these 30 teams in the NBA, championship or otherwise, that has 15 all-star players. You need top level role players. You need them. They are actually a need. The guys who get paid those average salaries, but come through in games above average, those the guys you need. And I feel like anybody's angst with Burks this year is only behind the reason that he should not have been a starting point guard, which he shouldn't have been. He should not have been playing. He should not have been. He should not have. Tibbs should not have been playing him as a starting point guard for that long. He's not a starting point guard, but as a guy who can fill in multiple positions well when you need him to, a guy who can bring a game home for you when you need him to. So you can't. I feel like you can't name me five. You can't name me 5 or 6 better role players in the league than Burks. And I'll wait for anybody in the chat, whatever. Like, put it up. Like, who is better than Burks? Like, name me 5 guys better than Burks, role players. I don't judge him with the stars. I judge him with other role players, and any team you want to be competitive. You want to get to the championship. It's not just about those 1 or 2 guys who are stars. You need them, but you also need those top shelf role players, and that's Burks. I can see him being a trade piece. I can see him being a trade piece only because he isn't a star. but I very much would feel like it's unwise unless they actually have somebody developed to be in that position again as well. Burks is a keeper. Burks is a keeper to me.
I set you up, bro, because I wanted you to start off the Kemba conversation.
Well, Kemba got to fly. I love I'm very disappointed in Kemba, but not so much. I'm disappointed in Kemba's body. You know what I'm saying? But even when he was healthy, man, the beginning of the season was, they just didn't get it together. They just didn't get it together. They just didn't get it together. After those first 5 games, it was like, I don't know what happened. Like, it just became a whole nother team out there. So I can't even say it was Kemba's health. Because he was playing kind of sus before his knees even became the problem again. So Kemba gotta go. I'm disappointed in him, but I'm not mad because I say this again, I said this at the beginning, it was a low risk experiment. I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at them throwing the $8 million at him to see if he still got something in the tank. I'm still not mad at the experiment, but he ain't it.
I'm gonna save my Kemba comments until the front office, and I'm gonna roll into Obi. Houston, we got a problem as it relates to Obi Toppin because he's showing that he needs his minutes in the game. He cannot be subject to Randall's demeanor. He can't be. We have to see what we have in this kid. To have Randall under contract is why I have put Randall first, because he's going to impact a lot of guys. I don't understand why you have Obi Toppin and Julius Randle on this team when Obi needs minutes. He absolutely needs minutes.
I am in total agreement there. I'm also again, like, this is one of the things that I wanted to see from the beginning of the season. I wanted to see more small ball with him and Randall, and I feel like that's something. I'm even hearing. I don't know if you read on. I'm reading a report on Bleacher Report. Like Obi was speaking to that same thing. Him and Randall talk about that all the time. Is what he said. They talk about being on the floor together. You know what I'm saying, in a small ball lineup. What you scared of, Tibbs? Do it. But I feel like these last few games has to have given Tibbs the information that he needs for how to proceed. I mean, it's not.
Can you hold off on your Tibbs comments, please?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I feel like he has actually played himself into those minutes that we will see. He's not going anywhere, and he will have a more prominent role. And yeah, I'm waiting. When we get to IQ, I'm gonna speak on him too. But I feel IQ.
Can you roll into IQ, please?
I'm glad he's coming next because I feel like IQ and Obi are a package deal. I feel like it's no coincidence that they both had their best games of the season playing together, like in the starting line. I have no there's no surprise there for me, and I feel like in terms of like the spiritual core of the team going forward for the next few years is right there in those two. I love IQ now. I love IQ. But it's funny, and even in this conversation of Obi and IQ, if it was up to fans, and if fans were running the front office, they would have been traded by the trade deadline before the All-Star break. Because I remember when everybody was shipping them off the team because they wasn't producing well. Not taking into consideration that these cats are just like second-year players, and honestly, nobody also taking into the fact that like Tibbs is playing them. They're second-year people, they're youths, and Tibbs is playing them and played them since they got here.
I can't say he's playing Obi. After Obi got minutes, I can't say he's playing Obi. And Obi even said it's different when you don't have to look over your shoulder knowing you're going to come out if you make a mistake.
Yeah, and you know it, and you realize, and you got to work yourself up to that no looking over your shoulder part. This, like, I feel like fans don't give the individual coaches the freedom of how they coach. Let them coach. Like, we're seeing the products of how Tibbs coaches, regardless of whether you like his substitutions and how many minutes he's playing. All of these guys have progressed. Is that accidental? You know what I'm saying? And these are the things that I look at. It's results.
Relax on the Tibbs stuff.
Okay, my fault. I feel like the results of the OB and IQ season and whatever was going in the background is what we're seeing, and I feel like it bodes well for the future.
IQ is a wizard with the basketball. And he's only been in the NBA 2 seasons.
When you say wizard, what you mean?
Meaning he understands how to create offense. Not only for himself, for other players. And he gets better and better and better. He went through a sophomore month or two. And I don't know why. I hope they get that under control and figure out why and get an understanding of why and what happened. But then the more he was allowed to play freely, he's an assassin. I just asked the Knicks community to never come to me and try to have a discussion about whether IQ is a point guard, whether he's this or that. What he is professional. What he is a hard worker and intelligent, highly intelligent. And what he is what the future of the NBA, the current NBA, and the past NBA has always needed. Someone to come off the bench and destroy other teams. And as long as IQ is coming off that bench for the rest of his career as a New York Knicks, I will be a happy player. He don't ever need to start a game. In fact,
to me, like,
it needs to be set up that he never starts a game. Because the role he presents for the New York Knicks is invaluable, especially when we're winning basketball games. And he already showed you he has the potential. And if he's that hot and he ends up playing the end of games, well, oh well. Because it's about who finishes the games, not who starts them. Especially when 90% of NBA games are won in the fourth quarter. Who starts them? Who starts them?
I'll go higher than 90%, but
who starts them or more? There's some laughers from start to finish. I'm not gonna give the NBA that much credit. They got some laughers from start to finish. All their games ain't nail biters, but I just love the kid, and if I had to get a gun stuck to my head and said, pick your favorite Knick right now. Don't think about it. You think too long, it will blow you up. IQ is the first name. I'm not offended when you call me IQ. It's actually funny. Because I was one of the first ones on his bandwagon as well. Talking about how great he was that we got him at that draft position. And how one thing I'm going to give these guys, especially if we go to other players. In fact, I'm going to get it. How these guys are finding good players deep in the draft.
Wait, no, but that's the
office combo. No. Well, the reason is because The reason is because I get to start the next player. I let you start IQ.
So we're going into the front office?
Nope. Next player is Grimes. Grimes, another pick late in the first round. that I compare with IQ for a long time. I can't tell you 2 years in a row. Like I could come off the bench with Grimes and IQ next year and be very comfortable. Grimes, IQ, and Obi, and be very comfortable if we're unable to move Julius in this offseason for the right price. I'm not pressed to move Julius Randle. A lot of conversations gonna come back to Julius because he's the leader of this team. How he plays, the style of play Tibbs plays, what you generally put around your best player.
I, RJ been leading the team though.
Well, and that's the
RJ has been
conversation.
leading the
When
team.
we get to Tibbs, that's the conversation that's gonna come up because we'll talk about it. Again. We're following protocol. You know, this kid Grimes, his pedigree, his professionalism. I see what this front office is doing with the draft picks that they've made. There'll be more. That was just a little quick sneak, but I got to talk about he's a rookie and he's a keeper in this organization. You know, at some point we have to talk about which players can win games or not. But Keith, this goes to while you wanted 54 wins, you didn't get 54 wins. I just told you that RJ got better. That Mitch, they at least managed the asset, which is Mitch. Mitch still had his value. They could have destroyed Mitch. They could have destroyed Mitch over these years. At least he's not an asset at the end. We could still do a sign and trade for Mitch if Mitch wants to go to a team that's over the salary cap.
Mitch is gonna be here, bro.
They signed for a year to a contract.
Mitch is gonna be here, bro.
Burks, only listen. There's a lot of good things that happen this season. There's a lot of good things that happen this season, Keith. So you didn't get your 54 wins. Grimes is part of that good success. Go ahead, talk about Grimes, King.
I love Grimes, dude. I was one of the ones at the draft, okay. They obviously knew who they wanted to get, so I was not mad at the trade backs and that with Leon walking away with another second round pick and this, that, and the other. Cats like, oh, you should have picked. I'm like, nah. They picked who they wanted. I trust them. I trust my scouting people. I trust them. That's the one, and I told cats, be patient. Be patient, yo. Like both of those players, both of those picks are going to play well beyond their position pick. And here we are. Grimes doesn't even play like he's a rookie, though. Do you peep that?
I absolutely peep that.
He has, and I pointed that out from his first game. Like, yo, like that dude played in the summer league. I'm like, yo, like that dude plays with mad, like it's not even a confidence. Like he plays with like an ease, oh yeah, like I've been here, like I pick up with these cats or something. Like he doesn't look uncomfortable being on the NBA floor, like making whatever decisions he got to make, shooting. Like he doesn't look uncomfortable at all, and I like that. And I like that from the beginning. I was like, that's a good thing, because that means that whatever he learns, he's going to execute with confidence, whether he could do it or not, and that's going to help him do it. I like Grimes, but I also think he might be traded. But I like.
What do you see happen with a trade? Talk to me.
No.
You see it happen?
Because as a team, I feel like he's a good. You know how a team want a young, like might want. If I'm gonna trade you one of my best players. I'm gonna go ahead and break it down and rebuild. I want somebody. I want one of your good players or whatever picks or this, that, and the other. But I also want a young talent that look like I could build them into something. Dude, Grimes has actually like played himself well into that position.
Keith, if you'll allow me a point of personal privilege, because I kept trying to remind myself to do it 2 or 3 times, and then I keep hearing that train in the background, and then that's when I get reminded. So I'm going to do it right now. I just want to give a shout out to the people in Brooklyn. at 36th Street, the N train. I just absolutely can understand what type of nightmare, and I don't understand why you freaks keep coming to New York City. Why don't y'all take your tail somewhere? We don't curse on this network, but I just want to go into the biggest rage, man. Why don't you folks take yourself somewhere? Stop coming. See, this is why the Knicks must be important because the city is so important. Because anytime somebody wants to get on the world stage, they come to New York and do something just idiotic, just retarded. Excuse me, just mentally disabled. I please forgive me. I'm so emotional right now. Anything I say out of my mouth, please charge it to my head and not my heart. But let me say this very importantly. Grow up, people. There are real people in New York City, real everyday people. And I'm not even going to say American. They represent the world in New York. Like, come on, man. Like, coming to do something. We're not some freaks. We're not some, some novelty. We are real, man. We have real emotions. We're not better than anybody. I know our swagger is different, but knock it off. Stop coming to our communities doing goofball stuff. We don't come to your neighborhoods and fly all over the world and say New Yorkers did this, New Yorkers did that. If anything, if a New Yorker land in your neighborhood, the only thing you better worry about is they there to get as much money as physically possible. If you want to hold us responsible for anything, you can hold us responsible for our greed. But what you're going to stop doing is coming into this amazing city doing goofball type stuff. God bless and keep everybody that was involved. I'm sorry, Keith.
Nah, we should have opened with that. My bad. You right. You're 100% right. And it's weird, like yo, like dude, just a few years ago, I used to work out there right at that. Like that's the stop that I would take to get out. And it's weird. You think about it. I growing up in New York, I love the trains. They dirty, they filthy, but to this day, I look at them joints like yo, like the New York City subway transportation system is the crossroads of the world. Of the world, bro. Like it's millionaires and homeless people. It's life. It's 24 hours and it's dirty, but it gets you where you going. And like people don't, it's such a reflection of like life to me. I feel like any attack on the subway system of New York is an attack on like you attacking society. Like you attacking this world because like the whole world used that subway system. You really trying to send a message to the world. And I dig it, whatever. I mean, well, I don't dig it. Like I'm cool with it. Like send your message, but understand, don't disrupt the world. Don't disrupt the world's crossing. But yeah, God bless those. It's a blessing that there was no loss of life. It was a blessing that there was no loss of life. I wish health and strength and speedy recovery to those who got injured. But like that, yeah, it's wild. But it's a reflection of a lot of stuff going on in society right now. Like people got short fuses. I'm noticing it everywhere. There's a lot more angst. Like these past few years and the Trump years, like, dude, this world has gotten a lot more angry. Yo, get therapy, yo. Get therapy. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Well, I got some therapy for you. Roll into Sims, talk about Sims. That's going to be some positive therapy. That's a great segue.
I want to recall what I said about Sims at the beginning. People at the beginning of the season, and Cats was on my back, like, oh. I said, him and Mitch are going to be our fives going forward. That's going to be our centers going forward. Noel's going to get traded, and I bet you money. Noel is not on the floor next season. And we have Mitch and Sims as our centers holding it down going forward. And we have 48, 40, wait, what is that? Yeah, 48 minutes of quality center action. And by the way, you see them moves that Mitch, just to go back on Mitch for a second. You ain't seen none of the moves that you ain't see how Mitch was styling. You ain't see Mitch styling.
Well,
Nah,
no,
you ain't see Mitch styling.
I appreciate you,
You
and
ain't.
I appreciate you for being real fan of Mitch. Because when you got the Sims, you knew you had to talk about Mitch. You knew Sims makes Mitch in the conversation, and
I feel
I'm
like
about
Sims definitely
and I'm
could
about
knock
to
Mitch out
really
the box.
I'm about to
He could
really.
knock him out the box.
This is the one that crushes your dreams.
Well, it's no dreams. Look,
No. Well, I shouldn't say dreams. This is the one that crushes the potential of Mitch being on his team next year.
what's that?
Because at number 12, we have the real ability to get the center from Kentucky, who has 7'7" wingspan, who is up for Defensive Player of the Year in college basketball, who is a real who.
Okay.
So you team him with Sims on rookie deals. That's why when I started talking to you about Mitch, it was all about the salary cap. If I'm general manager and I see what Sims can do, say what you want. I still got Taj here as well. I still got Noel under. I can roll the dice and pray that Noel gets healthy. I still got to pay him 10 million. I got a chance to draft this kid. That paying Mitch that money starts to not make sense. And and if you
All I
could
want,
if you could side or trade him for something that really makes you better, then Pudge, my man Pudge said, I love him to death. He said Noel gone. How? Where? He wasn't healthy. Noel's gonna have to get on the floor and show you he has value before you can get rid of him. So I'll let you rebuttal because it's only fair. And that's
look,
why but that's me talking about Sims. I'm telling you that Sims is so daggone good. And let me tell you something else. Sims is gonna hurt your boy Tibbs, who we're gonna talk about coming up here in a couple minutes.
Sims to me, Sims was a Tibbs pick.
No, that's not your rebuttal. Your rebuttal is, will Sims be the one and the potential to draft Williams out of Duke? Will
See,
he be?
okay,
Will,
I see where you're going with that. But I'm gonna say this. I think in our conversation, one of the things in our conversations of these individual talents and like, oh, this new fresh talent and this, that, and the other, I don't think I I, I don't think that we're properly giving place or weight to something that I'm sure that Tibbs and also the front office has to give way to. And it's the building of chemistry. You know what I'm saying? Like you're throwing away chemistry. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to work. And if anything, this year actually taught us that. Be like, yeah, we moved we didn't resign Elf
bro,
and we
Bullock,
and we
Bullock.
moved Bullock and we moved Bull I mean we didn't resign Bullock and like everybody was happy. You know, some people was whatever because of who we got. They didn't want Fournier, but like generally we thought it was a positive. Like those are better players. But see, the chemistry, the defensive chemistry was off with them two guys going. We didn't realize what a big part of the actual defensive makeup of the team that we was enjoying they were part of, and that they were probably a responsible part of. In fact, so when I say that, like you randomly trade Mitch to trade him for a fresh center, another guy you're gonna, even though yeah he has great attributes, but you're still gonna have to develop him. You're still gonna have to develop him, but you already have built all this in Mitch, which is looking like he's going to be a defensive player of the year type player, and he's not an old man.
I'm
So
trying
I
to
think
sign.
so. I think we
I'm
got
letting you know now. I'm trying to sign. I was trying to behave myself. I'm trying to sign and trade Mitch to New Orleans for Zion.
I mean, okay, to me, but okay, we sign and trade Mitch to New Orleans for Zion. I'll take that because to me that's a high value trade. Like that's a high value trade.
I'm trying to sign and trade Mitch to Dallas for um Brunson.
Nah, nah, nah.
Well,
I rather try to see what I got
well,
in
go
miles
go on
and what.
go on into McBride because we still. I want to make sure we finish our show.
Yeah, I can't.
I put.
The Zion one, I'll give you that one. But the
We'll
mm,
do a segment on who we could sign and trade Mitch for, and then we could do a segment on how much money you're giving Mitch on the open market, and tell me how you're balancing the checkbook going forward. We'll do a show on that. McBride is up.
I actually think that McBride. I like McBride. He gives me feels of a better shooting, a better shooting. What's his name in Boston? The point guard, the defensive cat.
Smart.
Smart. He gives me smart vibes. Like I he looked like he plays defensively very tough, very annoying. He's on you. I really, really, really am impressed with his gameplay. And I feel like he may have worked himself at least into seeing some time on that second unit. Now, I also think, like Grimes, he may be trade bait. He's definitely good trade filler.
I'm telling you, I like McBride so much that I'm not pressed. My only concern would be is how long could Derrick Rose stay healthy? But I'm fine going into training camp with Derrick Rose, McBride, IQ, Burks, Fournier, and we got room for another draft pick at the guard position. I think I got all the jars. RJ's forward now. RJ's not coming back. Down on the
And
tip.
do you have any interest in seeing what we have in those in that guard we have overseas?
Oh, Roker's bias. He's not coming though yet. He refused to sign out of his. He did not ask out. He has 2 more years on his deal, so
Oh,
he
okay.
asked not. He might maybe he'll play this summer, but he did. He asked not to come out. So
Mm.
I'm willing to come into camp with those four. But I just wish I could get some reassurances that Derrick Rose will be healthy. If I could get
I
those
mean,
reassurances, I
those are the
promise you,
those are
I
the
promise you, him and IQ and McBride splitting those
wait.
minutes.
Hold on, real quick. I don't normally do this, but like somebody just said something. So wait, McBride is Frank Ntilikina?
Let it go.
I just thought it was funny. I'm sorry, my fault. Go ahead, go ahead.
He already shoots 1,000 times better than Frank
Yeah, I was about
Ntilikina.
to say like he's probably had like he's
Frank Ntilikina couldn't go to G League and put up nothing. That's why they wouldn't send him to G League. That's okay. Let that go though. Um, Tibbs. I'm gonna start with Tibbs. Tibbs went from getting Coach of the Year to getting an F. Tibbs absolutely gets an F this year because the team played better down the stretch when all the stakes were off. Once the stakes were off, everybody played more looser. Tibbs has got to bottle up that feeling and bring it back. That's how it's got to feel in championship. I heard an announcer say it. This is not an original thought. They said, but Tibbs coaches like every game is game 7 of the NBA championship. You cannot coach that way through the entire regular season. There's players that says they refuse to play for Tibbs, anonymously said, because they said that's just not the way the game is played. And he's just playing the game so slow. He's not letting these guys play freely. That's not how they're used to playing the game. He could teach them how to play the game, playoff basketball. In fact, he's done it for years now. And Pudge is right. I'm sorry, Pudge Nice. You keep getting me because you're coming in on time, and we still lose the damn game. And so in the beginning of the season, he thought this was going to work. He thought this team was really good enough to win the game. He wasn't real with himself and tell his front office, listen, I'm going for development this year. Ain't no way this is going to be good enough. Kemba Walker's not going to get this done for me. But I'm going to wait for front office on that. But Tibbs really poo-pooed the bed this year, man. He didn't make any changes. He didn't speed up the style of play. He tried to play half court. We didn't have a center and big man. He played half court with Randall dribbling the ball by himself. And Randall's got low IQ. He's not going to adjust himself and help you coach. So Tibbs and Randall together, man, I don't know what the heck was up these two guys' heads, man. But it just made you think they had naked pictures of one another or something. Something was weird about it this year. And I just hope we get that out of there. RJ, you're right. You started to mention earlier that RJ stepped in and took over. And thank goodness he did. But guess what? We didn't win many games when RJ stepped in and took over either, Key. We didn't win many. We won more. We looked better as a team. We had more continuity. But the results weren't. We still would get to the fourth quarter and Kid Stibbs took his style over, his stubbornness took over again, and Randall was dribbling the ball, and RJ was standing around again. So we got to do better, bro. We got to do better as it relates to Tibbs. Let me shut up and let you cook because, excuse me, I still want to get to Cam Reddish, and I still want to get to the front office.
Yeah, I was just about to say that how we skipped Cam, but because I wanted to get to him before Tibbs, but okay, Tibbs, I give him a D. I wouldn't go so far as your F, but I give him a D because to me, part of the gameplay is the game players. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, dude, like you're like they would like you are dependent on the team. I mean, as individuals, you are dependent to do your job as well on the team. Like so, some of that responsibility, I can't give that full F to Tibbs. Like some of that responsibility is the players playing out the game. You know what I'm saying? And you see, I'm sure like Tibbs ain't the one that telling them in the fourth quarter, like start playing to not lose instead of playing to win. I'm sure that's not Tibbs doing that. And it doesn't matter the lineup; they do the same thing in the. That's when your lead is going to get lost. That's when everything's happening because you start playing to not lose the game instead of playing to win the game. I don't know how much of that is Tibbs. So it's things like that. I got to give some responsibility to the game player. So yeah, I give Tibbs a D, but I also feel like this is the second full year. He had a good first year, a good first full year. The second full year was this, but we're seeing a lot of good stuff towards the end of this year. I want to see how we build on it next year. I feel like I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable enough with this group of cats and Tibbs and whoever we might pick up to see something better next year.
Well, since I'm going to be fast on Cam Reddish, I'm going to go first. Because the fact that Tibbs will be the coach next year, one good year, one good bad year. Let's see what happened. Half a year, 3. Let's see which Tibbs is going to show up, right? Let's see how the fans react to him. Unfortunately, that's how it is in New York, which is why we haven't won no championships because the fan is cuckoo. I'm part of the cuckoo fandom. But that's why Cam Reddish is going to have to go. Tibbs told you he didn't want this trade to begin with. He told you he didn't have room on the roster. He's comfortable playing
He,
Grimes.
he didn't say that he didn't want the trade. He said he didn't have room. I think he
Right.
wanted. I think he wanted other trades as well. I think he
Well,
wanted to be able to have room.
we just went up and down the roster, and there was not a player we wanted to trade that Cam would take minutes from. There was not a player we wanted to trade that Cam would take minutes from. So Cam is the odd man out. The other players have played together. They ended the season well together. They've been together since what you call it. It's just Cam's time and coming to the team and the overall chemistry of it. Now, if somehow we're not able to move him this off season, and because I think we can move him if we don't land our high draft pick, I think we can move him with that draft pick and go up the board. Remember, he's still on the rookie deal. I believe we can, especially for a young team who wants to just acquire assets and think he's a trade bait for somebody else. Because remember, he's on an expiring contract. So I think and every expiring contract in the NBA is an asset. Don't ever forget that, fans. Every expiring contract, because if somebody's over the salary cap, if there's some owner paying a luxury tax and he don't want to pay no more, trade me to get that player. So next year, that salary comes off the book. So that's less I have to pay, and especially if you can get a $50 million salary. Man, Russell Westbrook is going to be well sought after this off season. And the only reason I could say the Knicks might not get him because we're not paying any luxury tax. But let Dolan have been one of those years he'd be looking for if he have still had Joe Kim Noah on the books and Eddie Curry on the books and all these other bad contracts. So I say that to say, I think for that, Keith, Cam's going to be gone. Did I give you a chance to speak on him?
Dude, I'm. It kind of sucks. It sucks he got injured because, like, I feel like this would have been like it would have been good to see more of Cam because I definitely think that he's better. Like, he's better than we've seen, and he can be better. And I'd like to see him through the offseason, but I also feel like he may have a very big trade target on his back.
So there's nothing really to argue here. Front office, Keith, this year was horrible. And it's really because they set up the fans' expectation. They should know the New York fan. Keith, I'm most disappointed in the front office because you hired Tibbs and you knew who you hired. Tibbs is being consistently who he is. Last year being who he is got us number 4. This year, what is it? It is Julius not knowing whether Julius can play in front of fans or not. Keith, the fact of the matter is, if Julius Randle's playing in front of fans, if something happens to him emotionally when he's not playing in front of fans, it doesn't happen, and that's why next year it's going to be very questionable for Julius Randle. I don't have faith he'll be able to turn around quickly. I believe they'll have to see more adversity. I don't know if his wife and kids. If I'm him, I'm not bringing my wife and kids to the first few games until I know I'm absolutely in my groove. I mean, it's that bad for Julius Randle. They want him gone. So front office, man, horrible job. Kemba Walker, why bring him here? Why roll the dice? I know you said risk reward, and my position is let Kemba Walker go to a qualified contender. Why are you acting like Kemba Walker was the piece to get us over the hump? In fact, you gave Tibbs reassurance that you're with his plan and you want him to win with a veteran-laden team. A veteran is at any position that if he wants, he can close the game with the Kemba Walker, Derrick Rose, Alec Burks, a Julius Randle and the Mitchell Robinson, or R.J. Barrett and RJ Barrett and Kimber Walker and like it's just a Fournier thrown in there. It never it gave him what I think was an out to not have to depend on the young players. He front office should have made Tibbs. Should have made Tibbs. Once you I don't know if you knew they were gonna draft Sims or not, but once you draft Sims, I just don't know how you don't understand that this kid needed to play, that he had to bounce to go. And go ahead, I can you on mute.
We saw Tim, but we saw see. Here's the thing: we saw Sims at the beginning of the season, and he wasn't like yeah, like he was physically ready, but he was not ready. Like he was getting lost out there on plays. Like you know what I'm saying, like I I I feel like we kind of project what we project based on the games that we see, but we don't see, and we're not there for practices. We're not there in the background. We're not there. We're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, and we don't give those things and that evaluation process any credit. Like the front office to me, I feel like, do we have what I look like, what I feel like is like 70% of the competent team that we need to be building on? I do think we have that, and I think that that's a successful job from them. I think that their picks have been phenomenal. I give them all praises for their picks. Phenomenal job. I've done so and got kicked in my back to being told that the front office was inept because of their picks. I, however, feel like they've done the job, whether there was a failing here or a great move here or whatever. I feel like where we are after 2 full years of their administration is not a bad place in terms of what we have in quality players that we can put together to make things happen. And not just quality players, we have quality players on tradable contracts. We got moves we can make. We've got one of the lowest salaries. We also have we still have our picks and others. Like I feel like this is probably one of the best front offices that we've had in over a decade. You're on mute.
I apologize. Let me shout the people out real quick.
Oh yeah.
Let me shout the people out real quick. Yo, salutes to Pudge Nice. Yo, so loyal. T. Williams, always here. We disagree tonight, but you know the love is always salute. E. Gibson, Deraz, yo, the number one troll, fam. He trolled himself to a wrench. How thorough is that? How tight is his game? Pause. D. Coolest. D. Coolest. That's my man. He always around. Never really tried to say his name. 718. JP. Pudge Nice be killing the track, yo. JP, that's pretty much it, man. Jay Singh, long time, bro. Long time, Jay Singh. And I just saw Visions. I don't even know. Lux, whatever. We gonna go with Vision and Chef NYK, the man, the myth, the legend. Vision. Luke Skywalker Visions. What it do, y'all? Hey, yo, Freeze, come in and holler at us, man, as we close this show out, bro. Don't try to come in and dip out.
Aussie Creative, what up?
Creative came in late. I ain't see him. Salute to my guy. Ruckers. Freezy's not talking to us tonight. Jay Busby. Cats dropping out. Oh, I saw my man JKW Events, yo. Marley Moore, what it do? Salute to the family. Yo, as I close us out, Free Keith, this was a great show. Very, very strict protocol, and we accomplished the mission, bro.
Bim.
And the KJW events, what it do? Yo, we accomplished the mission. Sharon Clyde, what it do? Yo, we accomplished the mission. We got through every player. We got through the front office. I think our analysis was tight. Well done tonight. I'm happy you picked me to ride along with you, and let me
Them.
shut up and let me shut up so you can do what it is you do that make you great.
Yes, yes, freedom, my people. Look, man, my brother Gi couldn't do this show. They call it my show, but it's really his show. Really, I just got naming rights. That's it.
You
But check
slick,
me
bro.
out.
You slick. You real slick with the words.
But check me out. Check me out. Check me out. Unc and crew. Like, yo, we got a lot to be positive for. And like going forward, like, yes, this season wasn't what we all wanted it to be, granted. Cool. But like there's things that we taking very positively moving forward. And I think we got some good things. Like this ain't 2017. This ain't 2016. We got good outlooks, man. Like, let's go. I feel like we coming into a good Knicks era. This is the beginning, only the beginning. Let's go. Keep it positive because that positive energy actually translates, man. Let's do it. Let's pour it in. But with that
Them.
said, good night, folks. Peace, salute, and blessing. If you're on your way home or on your way where you going, I hope you get there safely. You know what I'm saying? Love to those that we love and love us back. Knicks for life.
Them. Peace, y'all.